Most bankers aren't ready to help you until after their third cup of coffee. But with Central National Bank's after-hours service, you don't have to wait for the bank lobby to open to get help. You can contact us from 6 to 8:30 in the morning or from 5 to 10 in the evening, and we'll connect you to a real, live, local person who can answer questions and fix problems 7 days a week. Bank different. Bank Central. Central National Bank. Member FDIC.
This is a Rogue Media Network podcast.
Bros and heroes. Gonna tell you about bros and heroes. Gonna tell you about
comic books, costumes, facts,
Boots!
and other stuff.
In this week's issue, Booster Gold.
Welcome into Bros, Foes, and Heroes. I'm Zach, joined as always by the misunderstood one,
Hey, that's very accurate.
Mr. Mike. And Mike, today a character I've been looking forward to us doing for a long time.
I'm super excited.
Mr. Booster Gold,
Yeah.
a character that
I know
zero about.
Zip, zero, nilch, none, nada.
And also
Nothing.
a character that is going to be a part of James Gunn's
Yeah.
upcoming DCU.
Yeah, that's why I'm very appreciative of the lesson here.
So I'll be completely honest myself. With all of our talk about the DCU,
Yeah.
I've thought to myself, oh, it'd be great since they kind of put out, I think it's on DC's website still, it's about a year old or so, of like the game plan or like the comics that inspired
Yeah.
the stories that
Yeah.
they're potentially going to base things off of.
Okay.
And so I own some of the stories. Tom King, who we're familiar with,
Yeah.
we covered Mr. Miracle.
Mhm.
His Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow book is actually what they're basing the movie off of.
Oh,
And it's something
okay.
that we're going to cover here in about a month or so in June. I have a couple weeks blocked off for us to go ahead and dive into that and look at
Very nice.
Supergirl there, since that's a
Is
movie
the
coming
horse
up.
in it?
I haven't got to it yet. I haven't seen the horse. Comet
Okay,
has
good.
not appeared.
Well, I know for sure.
Crypto does.
That's
I know-
what I'm saying.
I know how
I
you
know
feel
for
about-
sure that Crypto is in the movie.
Yeah, Crypto appears in the series.
Yeah.
So
I
know how you feel about your super animals.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the super animals.
You think it's pandering, but
well,
we
a
did
little
get
bit.
a comment a couple weeks ago when we were talking about Alan Moore's Superman that I do get a little bit of, where he was like, oh, what's kind of more relatable than a man and his dog? Like, I get that.
Yeah, sure. I
It
get
is-
that too.
It's a way
but,
for us to relate to a guy who has ungodly powers in a way.
Well, it's fine. Whatever.
Is it
but,
fine?
But I do. So again, growing up with Super Friends and stuff like that, they very much went all the way to the other side to make it so cute.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Oh, we talked about
That's
this.
not what I want.
Well, I can't remember if we talked about this on the show or off the show a little bit ago, but how Super Friends did so much damage
Yeah.
for Aquaman.
Yeah.
I just remember, like, I rewatched those on Cartoon Network, and I always liked him, but I always laughed even as a kid, you know. at
Aquaman
'cause
talks
he
to the
rode
fish.
Well, he always, with the little sonar beams talking
Yeah.
to fish, or riding. I remember him riding a giant seahorse. Like, it was just,
Mhm.
so while it was
Yeah,
fun.
a seahorse bigger than him.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, giant seahorse.
Kind of did
Yeah,
a lot of
it's
damage
silly.
to Aquaman.
Silly.
But so with I know you being excited for James Gunn in the DCU, I've
am.
been trying to kind of follow that roadmap in a way and give you introductions to these characters before you get to the movies.
And I have seen the schedule. The schedule is very exciting.
Yes. So not only stuff with the DCU, there's other things that that are kind of related that Mike doesn't know that they're related by looking at the schedule and stuff too. That I planned everything out through like to the start of August. So
Yeah.
I can't believe we are that organized. First of all,
Well, you.
well, I'm
Not
that
me.
organized. Well, you're
Yeah,
just
I
along
didn't do
for the
it.
ride. But
If anything's wrong with these, remember, I didn't do it.
And if they're right, remember Mike did
Yeah, that's
so
right.
much.
I didn't do it.
No,
still
okay.
didn't do it.
I was
No.
going to give you some
I
credit.
don't want the credit. Good.
So a character that I knew a little bit about, but I didn't know a lot about going into. You okay over there?
Yeah, I'm fine.
All right.
I have this constant battle with glasses and headphones because to put your glasses on and then put your headphones over them,
Mhm.
it's a weird feeling on the ear holes, right?
That's
And
a weird phrase to hear,
And
but yeah.
so at night,
Uh-huh.
when I get up and watch TV at 3 a.m.,
You want to put headphones on?
well, here's what I do, and the glory of video
Yeah.
is that I do it on one, and you see what it's
Okay.
done to my glasses here? It's
It has-
jacked them up
It has. They tilt.
every time. But when I'm at home, I want to keep one ear open in case my wife needs me, or the dogs throw up or something.
You want to be attentive. I got
Right.
it.
And I want the one ear. So the other day, I gotta fix this. The other day, I bought this little thing off Amazon. It's like a for a call center,
Oh,
but
like
it's
the.
just an earpiece, right?
Okay.
There's no microphone.
Oh, so you're. high
And
on
so
the hog then.
now, when you come to my house at 3 a.m. and see me watching
you look like you're a
shitty
Secret
videos
Service
on,
agent.
on YouTube, I've got this thing on my
And
ear.
you look like you're a Secret Service agent.
Yeah, and I've passed out, and I got pizza on my chest, and yeah, it's
Nice.
great.
I like it.
Yeah, it's a wonderful time.
Well, now that you've got your
Sorry.
headphones and glasses,
Booster Gold.
let's go ahead and get into Booster Gold, a character who I am slightly younger than, but is
Yeah.
a relatively newer character, created in 1986 by Dan Jurgens.
86.
86, yeah.
Wow.
So relatively, his first appearance was in Booster Gold #1.
That's weird
Which
how
is
that
always
works.
nice
Yeah,
when that
yeah.
happens. But I'll go ahead. The origin was with a lot of these characters. Obviously, it's told one way, and then it's kind of expanded upon and
Yeah.
added as more stories go. The thing is that even the early Booster Gold, he evolved a lot as a character, at least to me, or at least just the layers that we get to see of him as a character. And he's grown, or at least turned into something that is really fun and just
Yeah.
really cool. And also might be a part of another guy that we're going to need to get into at some point in time, because it led me down a rabbit hole of things that I didn't know about, and a relationship that I didn't know about that is so great that now I'm kind of fully on board. And we'll get into a lot of this.
Okay.
But let's go ahead and start back at the origin, 1986, with Booster Gold #1. And essentially, Booster Gold is Michael John Carter is his real name. He's born in Gotham City in 25. I'm trying to remember the year. It's the 25th century. I'm sorry. So it's 2462 maybe.
So this is a
Or
guy.
maybe that's where we are.
This is a guy that can travel in time. Is that correct?
No.
Oh.
Yes. He
Okay.
eventually turns into that. That's
Okay.
not what he started out as.
Oh, okay.
So he was kind of born poor in the 25th century.
Mhm.
He and his sister Michelle, and he would end up growing up into a very good football player
Oh.
for Gotham University.
Okay.
Right,
All
all-star athlete. Back in 1986, it was because it kind of falls along with. It's a little bit different now with the NIL, but he was going to be so good, and it was just a matter of time till he could turn pro, and he'd probably be the best athlete, the league had ever seen.
Yeah.
But he was worried about getting paid now. So
Do you have any idea what the Gotham College team is? Because I know the pro team is the Gotham Knights.
I assume so. The hockey team is the Blades. Did you know that?
Is it really? No, I did
Yeah.
not know that.
And are they there's a baseball team that might be the Knights as well. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
There's a couple different.
You're good.
Gotham has a slew of teams, and it also depends on
The
like
character?
but also like what version you watch, because I think Batman the Animated Series had a different team.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I could be wrong. I feel like there's, depending on the book or story, I could be completely
Baseball
wrong.
team, the Gotham Knights and the Gotham Griffins.
Okay.
Their
See, there's two
basketball
other.
team is the Gotham Guardsmen, and their football team, the Gotham Wildcats, and their ice hockey team, the Gotham Blades.
Wildcats.
There
Okay.
you go.
So
Take your pick.
But he starts betting on games. Well,
Oh.
it's found out then that he bets on these games. It's retconned a little bit later, and I'll just go ahead and throw it in here with the origin. While it is now,
Yeah.
that his mother was really sick, and that's why he was betting on games, was to pay for
Buy her a new heart.
Well, it was to be able to, have money to pay for her treatment. Their father was kind of a
Can you imagine how much treatment costs in the 25th century?
dude.
Woof.
Healthcare costs now.
Whoopee.
And his father was kind of a bit of a degenerate and had left them, so it was just he and his sister and his mom. So he was betting on the games to make money to pay for
sure.
his mom's
Were the
treatment.
games he was in?
The games
Okay.
he was in.
All right.
His
So it's a
dad
Pete Rose situation.
exactly. His dad comes back in the situation or into his life around that time, telling him like, "Hey, I need you to throw some games for me. I'm in trouble with these people. Look, he has like a scar down his eye, like where they cut his face. His dad does, and he's like, I need you to do this for me. So he feels like he needs to. So he does that. He goes and he throws a game again for money for his dad, and that's the game he gets caught, and he ends up getting banned for life from hey, your sports career is done.
So like banned for his collegiate career. This is when he's in
banned
college.
in general.
Just banned.
He's banned. He's banned from the sport.
Okay.
So
Makes sense.
all this hope he had of being able to take care of his mom and his sister, it's all kind of gone and down the drain. So the only job he can get is like a night security job or night security. Sometimes it's written as a janitor, depending on the story too.
Sure.
At the Science Museum, and there's a section there that he always likes and kind of loves, and it's about the superheroes of the 21st century, and the 20th, 21st century, and he always just thinks about like how it was great that man, all these superheroes at that time, like everybody knew who they were, like they were famous, like
sure.
they could have gotten
Right.
so many endorsements, they could have done so much, they could have been so big.
He kind of sees himself in that, like, this is the thing I should be so that I can get paid.
But exactly. It's like
Gotcha.
they do all of this, they're seeing so much, and they're not necessarily taking advantage of all the opportunities presented to them.
Got it.
So what he does is from the museum, he steals like different pieces of equipment. There's his suit. There's the ring
he
that
takes
he
all
wears.
that stuff from the museum?
He steals it from the museum.
Oh, wow.
So
okay.
there's the ring that he wears. There's his suit. There's a belt. Like there's a bunch of different things. The robot here, it's a security droid that works there with him.
Okay.
But it also is kind of his sidekick named Skeets is what it turns into. Skeets.
Skeet. Got it.
So Skeets, it was Gammon.
Yeah.
So they travel back to our current time to be a super. That's what he does. He steals a time machine because he knows. I think he also took classes in.
In time machines?
Well, no. In like I went back and I read Booster Gold number 6 from 1987, or it might have still been 86.
Okay.
Is the origin issue for Booster.
Okay.
And it talks about how like he took classes at like Gotham U about superheroes. So like he knows,
That's
like
nuts.
he has like a rudimentary knowledge of this time.
I mean, I guess it's not nuts for Gotham, but still, yeah.
But so he travels.
Superhero 101.
He travels back in time
Yeah.
to be a superhero.
We're assuming
And
a lot
uses-
with this guy.
What do you mean?
Like, he just travels in time. He steals all this stuff from the museum.
Well, I'm telling you what happened. I mean, like this
I
is
know,
what happened.
I get it. I'm just saying it's just there's a lot of leaps of faith.
Well,
here.
there is. So this, I'm kind of giving you like a history of the character because what we're going to cover is what I'm pretty sure the TV. It's for Booster Gold. It's going to be a series on HBO. I'm pretty sure.
Oh, is it really?
I don't think it's going to be a movie. I think it's going to be a series.
Oh.
And they give Jeff Johns and Dan Jurgens, Norm Ratman, and Jeff Katz 52 series as like the inspiration for that. So that's what we're basing our Booster Gold, what I'm going to explain to you off of here.
Okay.
But I'm just giving you a little bit more backstory on the character.
Yeah.
So as you can see, a character that is from the future, but he just kind of shows up to, fight crime and get all the press coverage. And like, there's even a point where he's like, fighting crime was, so great. I'm famished. Good thing I have Star Soda to quench my thirst.
Yeah.
Like, he's
Well, it's
want
very
all
much like the boys, like A-Train.
Exactly. He wants all the endorsement deals, all of that. And so, and this is, I found the inspiration for it was actually Dan Jurgens was watching the 1984 Olympics and just thought to himself, like, oh, you have all of these, amateur athletes
That makes sense.
out there, competing. What if there was a superhero who was like, oh, well, I'm a professional, kind of like they're able to,
That makes total sense.
to put it easily. I mean, it goes way more in depth than that. I just made his creative process into like 10 seconds, but
Yeah.
still,
You don't know.
just
Maybe it
giving a
was.
little-
Who knows?
give him a little backstory. So there's times though he's usually used as a joke character, as
Yeah.
you would be.
Well, you can correct me if I'm wrong here, but I would think it's kind of like Peacemaker, kind of in the fact that it's kind of a throwaway character or whatever, but now it's going to be like somebody who's actually in the universe.
Well, here's another little thing to connect you to all of it. Dan Jurgens was also just a time into. He's done a lot of stuff, but just a time into other stuff comic book wise. He's the artist. He might have been the author too. I can't remember of Death of Superman.
Oh,
So like
okay.
Booster Gold is in Death of Superman. He's
is
the
he
one who
really?
actually technically names Doomsday.
Huh.
Yeah, like Doomsday throws Booster Gold just kind of punches him clear up into the sky where Superman like catches him and he's like, what's going on down there? And he's like, it's a Doomsday down there is what Booster tells Superman.
Okay.
So like, I mean, Booster's been around for a while. But he is that character that people who are into comics and know him love him. And
Okay.
I think there's a lot of reason why this series, I read the first 10, 11 issues of it.
Okay.
I'm going to keep reading that, even though we aren't going to be covering it. It is so good.
Oh, cool.
It is really good. But to give some backstory of how we get to where we are and a little bit more about the character. So he's a bit of a jokey character. The relationship that I found out about in reading these, because I went back and read some. I also want to go back and read more of Justice League International from the 80s, which is it's him, it's a Booster Gold, it's Martian Manhunter, it's Blue Beetle, it's Mr. Miracle's in it for a bit.
Wow.
It's Guy Gardner as the Green Lantern. It's just like the ragtag, like they wanted to reintroduce the Justice League, but like they didn't want them to be able to use the like, oh no, we have plans, like we just relaunched Superman, so you can't have Superman. Oh, we just doing this with Wonder Woman, you can't. Like Denny O'Neil, who was the editor of Batman at the time, like let them use Batman because he kind of felt bad because they had nobody else to use.
Gotcha.
But what it turned into is it was a more lighthearted book, and Booster Gold and Ted Kord is the Blue Beetle kind of turned into like the best bromance in all of DC Comics. The schemes that they come together, like it's get rich schemes that two of them come together with, or they like open up a casino on an island. And like, it's just all.
We've not done any Blue Beetle, right?
No.
Okay.
And
Right.
it's the
I've
reason
not
we
watched
haven't
the
done,
movie or anything.
Well, the reason we haven't done any Blue Beetle is just because there are so many Blue Beetles and each one is different and has their
Oh,
own
really?
kind of,
Oh, I didn't know that.
like they're all
So it's like a Green Lantern situation?
in a way. Like
Yeah.
that's why if we did Green Lantern, we'd have to do Hal Jordan Green Lantern,
Yeah.
or we'd have to do, John Stewart Green. We'd have to focus
Who's
on
the one that people don't like, or the one who's a jerk?
Guy Gardner.
Okay, is that the one?
That's
that,
who Nathan Fillion
Fillion?
is.
Yeah. Okay, that makes total sense.
And it also makes sense then now, if they're going to connect like Justice League International, if Blue Beetle and stuff might show up, well, Booster Gold would be, because Guy Gardner is their Green Lantern of that Justice League at the time.
Gotcha.
But so it was more.
Nathan Fillion's a little older too, which
I wonder if they're going to give. I wish they'd give him the bowl cut. Guy Gardner had that ugly bowl cut.
he's got like a really.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Anyway, so
Nathan Fillion with a bowl cut.
That'd be great.
Would be interesting.
So through all of this, some things happen, but essentially Booster Gold and Blue Beetle are like the best 1-2 punch.
Okay.
Just best friends,
All right.
even though
Friends to the end.
exactly. And a little bit about just Ted Kord as Blue Beetle. All the other Blue Beetles have this little scarab, which is the beetle-looking thing that gives them powers. Ted Kord could never really figure out how to use his. So instead, he is the only Blue Beetle who doesn't have superpowers. He instead uses his
That's
smart.
weird.
Well, no, he's I don't know if he's an engineer, but he's extremely smart.
Okay.
He builds gadgets. He's very tech savvy. And so,
But he couldn't figure out the beetle.
like, I don't remember the exact like story,
gotcha.
part,
Sure.
but
Yeah.
he's just kind of like an everyman. So that's the thing, is it's like the two characters that people don't necessarily take, and at least heroes in that world, take the most serious.
Yeah.
But the two of them together are just like a great 1-2 punch. It's Blue and Gold.
Okay.
There's even a series that came out after this that Dan Jurgens wrote and did too. That's Blue and Gold. That's the two of them together. That's their kind of little duo, and they're like everyman heroes. Yeah, there we go. It was also later. We'll get to it. They're brought up here in this too.
Oh,
but,
okay. All right.
So to set up where we are, just a little backstory before we dive into our story today.
Yeah.
Booster Gold, this joke character, big events happen all the time throughout DC. One of them at one point in time was Identity Crisis, which we will cover sometime. So I'm trying to do this without giving as many spoilers as possible. But events led to the point where Batman didn't really trust any of the other heroes or anybody in general.
Yeah.
And so he created like this Brother Eye kind of like satellite system to watch over everybody. Maxwell Lord, I'm going to throw out names.
Yeah.
It's not going to mean anything. I'm just
gonna take 'em in.
explaining.
Yeah.
Maxwell Lord, who was always kind of, at least through the 80s and stuff, like a kind of Bosley of the Justice League in a sense. Like, you know, he would kind of give him missions and kind of like move around and stuff.
All right.
Turns out he's
not the hair plug. People.
No.
The guy from Charlie's
He's
Angels.
a giant villain in all of this, and he's using Brother Eye to kind of like push forward his initiative of where he creates these OMACs, which are, it's this little like nanite virus that infects people and it turns them into these one-man army corps type things. But it's actual humans that it infects to do it.
Okay. All right.
He also is using the satellite. He's been able to like find all the weaknesses of all the superheroes. So his giant plan is to eradicate all the heroes, and essentially like he's going to, you know, be able to control the world and take the world back to the human race. Like, you know, we need to get rid of all the superheroes kind of essentially.
Man, that is a ongoing theme, is it not?
It is. It is very much so. Another thing about Ted Kord is he might be the best detective in all of DC Comics. He and Batman are on the same level. And to prove that, when it comes to this story and it comes to figuring out that Maxwell Lord is the one doing all of it, Ted Kord's the one who figures it out first. They have the two of them, Booster Gold and Ted Kord, kind of realize, oh, there's something up here. Like with Maxwell, there's a giant fight that happens. Booster's injured, and Booster tells Ted, hey, don't go investigate this anymore by yourself. Ted Kord, figuring out and not listening, goes, and he's like, I know who it is, goes and confronts Maxwell about it, and ends up getting shot and killed, like headshot. Batman doesn't figure out that Blue Beetle's been murdered until like his goggles are sent to him, and Batman realizes, oh, like all I've done here, like in everything, they realize, oh, it's Maxwell Lord. They kind of go, they fight, defeat him afterwards. But Booster Gold very much so kind of blames the rest of them for not listening to Ted Kord when he was trying to tell him like, hey, we need to go do this, because they kind of viewed them as a joke.
Yeah.
Now, on top of this, things happen. I don't know I haven't read Infinite Crisis all the way. I'm terrible, but
at the Hall of Justice,
it leads to, for some reason, Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman aren't around for a year.
Yeah.
And there's a series called 52. This is before the new 52, that essentially tells you what happened in that 52 weeks that the three of them weren't around.
Oh.
Okay.
I always
Gold,
thought it was like playing cards.
No. It's
you know
52
what I mean?
weeks.
Yeah.
Eventually, when it's the new 52, it's because they have 52 titles at the time when they release. But it was 52 because weeks. The story there is Booster Gold comes back, and he's very much so his typical like, hey, I'm Booster Gold. I'm the hero of Metropolis. I'm here to save the day. Superman's not around, so somebody needs to save Metropolis, and he's trying to get all the endorsement deals and all of that he can. There's one point in time, and it's kind of great. His suit has patches, like a NASCAR suit, kind of like, you know, people that are
just
representing him. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
But then all of a sudden,
I'm really starting to like this guy.
Yeah. I guess you don't need to know everything that happens in that.
What is his name?
Booster Gold.
No. What's his real name?
Michael John Carter.
Okay. All right. Cool.
So things happen there in 50.
Is this on a different Earth?
No, it's on ours.
Okay.
Things happen in 52.
I'm asking questions about stuff I know nothing about.
No, you're fine.
Yeah.
The long answer short, because I'm trying to keep this at least as short as I can, because there's a lot to get into with Booster, is A new hero shows up, or things seem to be on the fritz. They find out that Skeet's here.
Skeet.
Through a long time is been infected by the
I can
Shazam villain, Mr. Mind. You know, the little worm with glasses?
Okay, yeah.
52 is co-written by Jeff Johns, Grant Morrison, Mark Wade, and...
What was that worm in
Rucka?
at the end of a movie?
Maybe Shazam? I don't know. It would have been a DC movie. Anyway, and so...
What's he called? Mr. Mind?
Mr. Mind, yeah. Booster has to fake his death for them to be able to, like, get in to, like, infiltrate Skeets and be able to get Mr. Mind out and all of that. But... it essentially, people think that Booster has kind of turned back. Like, he had to fake his own death to do all this.
Yeah.
And people think that he kind of did it to be a glory. It's going to be brought up as, like, a glory hound. And it's back to Booster just being typical Booster Gold.
Okay.
You know, that's all he's out for. And that's kind of what we need to know. And that sets us up for where we're going to go when we get into the 52 run. And we're going to cover... Again, I read the first 10, 11 issues. We're just going to kind of cover the first arc, which is the first 5 issues. And I'm not going to go super fully in depth because there's a lot to unpack here, but it's so good.
Mm-hmm.
And I hope that I'll at least make you kind of love the character a little bit. We're going to dive right into where it all starts with 52 pickup right after this on Bros, Foes, and Heroes. All right, welcome back into Bros, Foes, and Heroes
Hey there.
as we dive into Booster Gold now.
Yeah.
52 pickup. It's the first 6 issues.
Is he
it's
kind of
what
an
we're going to
ass?
cover. He's arrogant.
Okay.
But
All right. I like that.
Misunderstood.
There's
That's what I think.
There's your Guy Gardner with the bowl cut right on the cover there.
Exactly. Yep, there's Guy Gardner with the bowl cut. So let's go ahead and
Feeling
let's
pretty
dive
good about myself that I
into...
can make those kind of references. now.
Yeah, see, I'm
Yeah.
educating you a little bit.
You are. It's been very good.
I also love in the series that, like,
Ooh, there's cards.
there are cards because he's fighting the what are they?
The card shuffler.
No, the it's King and Queen and Jack. It's the something gang. The card gang.
There you go.
What are they
The
called?
card gang. Sure.
No, there's a name. Why can I
Gang
not
gang.
think of them?
Card gang.
This
gang.
is very embarrassing. It's
Card
gonna
gang
hit me
gang
here
gang.
in a second. Anyway,
I want to watch Blue Beetle now.
well, it's okay. Here's the thing. It's Jaime Reyes, but
Yeah.
I will tell you. I don't know if I told you this or not. And it's spoiler alert if you haven't seen the movie. I haven't, but I know about this. Apparently, towards the end of the movie,
Yeah.
there's a part where the suit talks. Like
Yeah.
there's somebody trapped in there.
Yeah.
And it's like, he's like, hey, it's Ted.
Oh.
And the director, like they interviewed the director and he was like, I love the relationship between Ted Cord and Booster Gold so much that we left, like we wanted you to be like, we wanted to set up ourselves that Booster Gold and Ted, like he was like the director of the current one where like Jaime's your Blue Beetle wanted to set up where these two could still like mentor him potentially because he liked the relationship so much. And now he's excited because he was like that's Ted in there. And like for us, it was kind of like Booster got him in there. So
I would think the people that created this kind of stuff and that are kind of in on the joke, that they are super excited about Gunn coming along because he has this history of using these little known characters and stuff and making them into a big deal. And so I would think anybody that is involved with this kind of stuff is like, oh, hell yeah, now we're going to get to some of my stuff, you know, not just Batman versus Superman and crap like that. You know, it's now we're getting into some of these smaller characters because I wouldn't make Booster Gold a giant character, right?
no, well, so
I mean, maybe
here's-
he has become, but I'm saying
no.
That's not one you throw around.
Here's where he works perfectly. Kind of like Daredevil did as a series.
Yeah.
It works the same way.
Okay.
Is Booster Gold a Batman level character? No. But he has enough to carry his own series that you could sit there and watch it and
Okay.
be like, damn, that's good.
No, I'm excited about it because he is somebody I don't know much about, and so I'm able to go into it with not well. After this, I may, but I'm able to go into it with little knowledge and just enjoy it for what it is.
Yeah, and I
you
think
know?
this is, if you wouldn't have known, and I'm purely guessing on this, this I would think would follow the piece. Obviously, I feel like he's going to have a different director and stuff because he's not going to direct all this stuff.
Yeah, sure.
But I could see it having like a Peacemaker type feel
Yeah.
to it.
Yeah.
Not as like it's not as ridiculous funny,
Sure.
but it's still funny.
Well, it could be though. Maybe I mean,
Well,
if you give it the right.
here's the thing, and we're about to get into
All right,
this.
let's go.
This first series feeds into it a lot, and you'll see what I
Okay,
get into.
all right.
So we see Booster kind of reintroduce himself as Jeff Johns kind of reintroduces us here in a series in Booster Gold #1 when they relaunched it. So it's Booster kind of coming in, and it's, Annie up because he's fighting, playing card themed villains as he smashes their heads in. And he tells Skeets, he's like, hey, tell me you got that, Skeets. And Skeets is like, oh, I'm always rolling. Like Skeets is videotaping him while he does it.
Okay.
He's, how often do you have your sidekick that's also your publicist that's able to get out?
I need to talk to Skeets about cloud storage.
Yeah, that's able to to get out your like highlights and stuff to send them to the news. So he has a battle and he defeats the villains here.
Okay.
It gives his little backstory a bit
There's
of
the
his
football
origin.
boys.
There's his football, and it kind of tells you
I like him with a cape.
there's a reason why he doesn't have a cape. He brings it up. I can't remember when. It might be issue 2. I don't know. Or maybe it's in the first one here. But it kind of gives you the backstory that I did. It also introduces to tell you that in ever since here, let me read from it to kind of give it more of it. I took a power suit and a force field belt and a ring that could make me fly. A security droid tried to stop me, so I borrowed, stole him too.
Yeah.
And then it says, I could remake my place in history, talking about after he felt kind of like the shame from being caught with cheating. And Michael John Carter became known as Booster Gold. From, I think that he was wanting to be known as Gold Star at first, or he wanted to be known as, I think it was Gold. It could have been something else. Anyway, when he saves the president and he goes, like, his name was just Booster Carter. Like, it was the nickname Booster. And he's nervous and can't get the name right. And so he, like, just blabbers out Booster Gold when he goes to introduce himself. And he's like, that's not what I meant to do.
Yeah.
So, like, originally, like, that's, I'm pretty sure how the name comes from.
Honestly.
I love the original logo. I'm sure I will have thrown it up at some point in time in the video before now. The S of the original one is a $sign.
Oh.
And it looks
that's
great.
cool.
It looks great. And he goes, I even joined the Justice League. It wasn't the one with Superman and Wonder Woman, but it was a Justice League, talking about Justice League International.
Yeah.
And he goes, that's when I first got to know Ted Cord, the Blue Beetle. Ted was the only one on the team who never judged me. He even put up with me. And it said, it talks about his sister died before this.
Booster's sister?
Booster's sister,
Okay.
Michelle. He has a twin sister.
Oh.
And it's like, Ted was the only one who never assumed that it was my fault, even if it was.
Oh, wow.
And then it talks about how Ted was killed by, Maxwell Lord, the manipulative sociopath who got me in the Justice League in the first place. Ever since then, I tried to shed the Glory Hound image to make Ted proud. 2 months ago, I saved the multiverse. That's 52 parallel universes, because he is the star of the 52 book, which is a really cool concept, essentially, of where all these great writers got together. And it was like, hey, we're going to tell you that story of what happened in those 52 weeks. And we're going to do it without Batman, Superman, or Wonder Woman, which is kind of really cool.
It's amazing. Yeah.
And it's focused all on like a lot of the back. Booster Gold has a big role. Steel has a big role. Like it's Adam, a Black Adam. Like they focus more on the secondary characters.
Yeah. I love that.
And a lot of people really like the series. It's loved for a good reason. It's really good.
Can I ask you real quick?
Go ahead.
Where does the Maxwell Lord guy come from?
Justice League International.
Here's
the thing.
I thought
He was in.
He's a bad guy?
He's a bad guy.
Okay.
He turns like he starts out good, and he's just kind of like a goofball, like cheesy guy, and he kind of turns bad. Wonder Woman, the second movie, used him. That's who Pedro Pascal is.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So Maxwell Lord, I guess that's on me. Maxwell Lord does have a power. He has mind control.
And now
he can make people do things.
And now he's in the effing Fantastic Four.
Yeah, but I don't. I mean,
Pedro
their
Pascal.
Maxwell Lord was different than this Max.
Okay.
I think I read that
I didn't realize
Sean
that's who that
Gunn was already cast as Maxwell Lord.
Really?
So it's going to be more
Weasel.
So it's going to be more, I think, of the not evil Maxwell Lord. It's going to be just the
okay.
goofy kind of.
Okay.
Um,
Sean Gunn.
I could be wrong with that. And it goes, and in case you're not good at math, that's like saving our universe 52 times over. Even Superman hasn't done that. well, he probably, or he goes, well, he probably has, but that's not the point. Like, that's how it's even,
yeah, sure.
And now for the first time in my life, I know with everything I've got that I deserve to be cheered for again. Like, he's just bringing a point. Like, everybody thinks I'm this glory hound. I've done everything I can to shed that image, but I'm going to do everything right now. And he goes, I think maybe I can. And about that time,
He's ready to be an actual superhero.
exactly. And about that time, the Justice League shows up, and Skeets is like, hey, the Justice League arrives, sir. And he's like, you're right, they have. And as it's there, the first thing Red Arrow is like,
I don't know these 4 people here.
so
I don't know who these are.
Black Canary, you're going to throw me out.
I know
I
her.
think that's Black Lightning, Red Arrow. I don't know who that is right offhand.
Sally.
Thank you.
Wait, it may say down there.
No,
No?
it doesn't.
Okay.
So Red Arrow says, Booster Gold, I thought he was dead. Like, everybody's just like, oh, well, she's like, I heard that he faked his death just to kind of get sympathy. Like, still saw him flying away from battle when we were trying to fight, to save the world. And then somebody else throws out, I'm trying to think of where it is.
He's got like the coolest suit. in
Royal
the picture.
Flush Gang. There, I knew it came
Royal
out.
Flush Gang.
Superman tells
Gang.
him, like, the JLA emergency signal is only to be used for emergencies. And Booster Gold's like,
That's why we call it that.
yeah. And Batman's like, and the Royal Flush Gang are, and he's like, not going to be slicing through Atlantic City now, guys. Like, hey, I've done something. Like, that's why I called you to
helped.
show you I helped.
Yeah.
And then the Flash is like, I thought that they deactivated his communicator, to which Black Lightning goes, no, that was Guy Gardner. And Red Arrow's like, well, at least Guy's got balls. Like, they're like, oh, look at Booster Gold here. Like, nobody wants anything to do with it.
He's
Everybody's
just
just
got the coolest
questioning.
suit.
He does.
His suit is
Everybody's
badass.
questioning him, though. Oh, I should have said, there is one thing I need to bring up just for this little line here. Back in 52, there was a new hero called Nova that was showing up.
I remember Nova.
Or Supernova, sorry.
Oh, I don't remember Supernova.
Supernova that was, kind of saving the day. And Booster was kind of losing a little popularity. And I think with Skeets, they kind of cooked up the plan of hiring a fake bad guy for him to stop.
Oh.
And he didn't pay the fake bad guy, and the fake bad guy outed him.
Oh, wow.
And so then they're like, oh, so now you're paying people for you to stop? So it's brought up because, Hal asked, like, the Booster Gold and the Royal Flush Gang sounds familiar. Like, see this happening a lot. I didn't think, maybe it was the Royal Flush Gang that he did it with, but Black Canary goes, yeah, it should, Hal. That's exactly how Booster got the League's attention in the first place. He hired the gang to take a fall in order to, to ingratiate himself to us. Like, they're kind of on to him. Nobody, like, is kind of paying him any mind. And he's like, guys, I'm, like, trying to do, what's right here.
Yeah.
So Batman, though,
That's a very hard click to get into there.
it is. Batman, at least, is just like, you know what? For Ted, because Ted Cord figured everything out. I think Batman I don't think ever apologizes for what leads up for the creation of Brother Eye and what leads up to Ted Cord's death. But I think it's a little bit of, he feels a bit of guilt for it. So he's like, all right, because of Ted, we'll give you a week. Like, no glory hounding, just save people.
Yeah.
That's all you need to do.
Yeah.
And we'll reconsider you back in. And he's like, all right, you got it. So he goes through, and he goes back home. I guess there's a secondary story that goes on where we find
Who
out
is that?
Supernova is Daniel Carter, which is like his great grandfather.
Oh.
He needed his help in the previous story, so he's like hanging out. There's a backstory. We're not really going to dive into that. We're going to focus on Booster,
All
but
right, gotcha.
that's what's going on. Rip Hunter
Shit,
is
who's
somebody
that?
you do need to know about. Rip Hunter is a time master.
Okay.
This is where Booster's story gets fun, because Booster is somebody he traveled, from the future back to our time. Do you like the concept of a time cop in a way, Mike?
Yeah, kind of.
Okay. Well,
I mean, because like TVA, honestly, is like time cops.
Booster Gold, at least in this story, is a time cop in a sense, and we'll explain to it why. And it's so good. Rip Hunter is a time master. He was in 52 as well, but he has old newspapers that he was going to use to like save events or it's, all of these things of the great things that he did. And he's going to try to, I don't remember why they're slapping the papers out of his hand. Anyway, Rip tells him like, hey, there's something up with time. Like, I need your help. For some reason, people are going back through and I'm noticing like these anomalies of somebody like going through messing with time, and we need to stop these anomalies from happening. The thing is, you can help me because you've been through time, and also like we'll be able to go, you'll go out, stop whatever's going to happen to keep time the way that it's supposed to be, and nobody will be the wiser because like we're dealing with time here. Like, you know, my name's not really Rip Hunter. Like, if people knew my real name, they just go back in time and, like, you know, snuff me out as a baby. Like, there's things you have to do.
This is amazing how these two entities, Marvel and DC, do the same stuff for the most part.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just I never knew that it was so close like that.
And so I think this is 2007.
I mean, if you watched Loki, I mean,
yeah,
but it's the same thing for the most part.
I think this is 2007, by the way.
Oh, I don't doubt it. Yeah.
So, where was that? Oh, so, and he tells them, and also because people kind of think you're an idiot, like they're not going to think that, oh, it's Booster Gold going through and saving the time and space here.
Who's that?
I don't know.
It looks a lot like Sergeant Rock.
It might be a Sergeant Rock DC.
Oh boy, do I like Sergeant Rock.
It might be. No,
Sergeant Rock was always my favorite. I still have a collection somewhere. Tons of Sergeant Rock comics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, he shows them though.
I don't know why I like that stupid thing.
That's fine.
At one point, The Rock was supposed to play him, and I was very disappointed.
That seems very on the
Yeah,
nose.
it's not good. You know who that is? This just came to me. That's fucking John Hamm. John Hamm would make a damn fine Sergeant Rock.
No,
man.
I can get you there.
Woo, baby, there we go.
So
listen to me, casting agents.
So Rip tells them essentially like, you know, nobody's going to believe that it's like you doing this. Like, we need your help. Oh, there's an interference going on right now.
Yeah.
You know, this is events from 52. Like this plane that's about to be that Black Adam, you know, struck. Like he missed it before. I'm kind of, you know, moving a little bit.
Yeah, I got you.
But like the woman that's
Black
on board.
Adam has a kick-ass suit too.
He does too.
Yeah.
But the woman that's on board is actually like your great grandma. Like that's who.
That's a lot of greats.
It is. Well, I don't remember the lineage exactly. It's like that's who
understand.
Daniel, who's back at your house. Like that's who he ends up marrying. Like
Yeah.
you kind of need to make sure she survives, or you're kind of, you know, out of luck then. So he goes and he saves, like, you know, he stops the plane from or, like helps it land.
Okay.
And he goes back to Rip and he tells him like,
Damn,
Rip,
there's a lot of heroes in this thing.
they are. Rip tells him like, hey, so like you're going to need to go through, people keep making, whoever it is just going through time, making all these things. And I need somebody to help me do this. And it needs to be you. And like, there's a point, I love that he goes, like, he tells him like, my real name isn't Rip Hunter. Like as a time traveler, I told you I can't do that.
Sure.
He goes, that's what's happening to the Justice League right now. Like people are going back and they're trying to find ways to take them out because they know who to, and they're trying to find those ways.
Yeah.
He's like, everybody already thinks you're an idiot anyway. Like nobody's going to believe like you're the one helping me do this. And that's where Booster Gold's like, excuse me? And he's like, it's too dangerous for anyone else to even know about this because like the more people that know about it, the more it messes with time and all of that. And he's like, you know, but you can work in the proverbial shadows of time. It's perfect. No one would ever expect you to be able to pull off something like this. And Booster's like, thanks. Like, you know, yeah.
Thanks, but no thanks.
Yeah. And he's like, I mean, in all sincerity, like you've proven yourself, Rip tells him, to be one of the bravest men I've ever met in any century. But maybe your destiny isn't what you think it is. And Booster's like, so you're saying my destiny is to let everyone think that I'm still just this giant loser, like this jerk. And Skeets is also comic relief, goes, an egotistical, self-centered moron. And Rip goes, well, you'll go down in history as an ineffectual and incompetent fraud when the reality is you'll be the greatest hero history has ever known. Oh, I'm sorry, history has never known.
This is Doomsday?
Yeah, that's Darkseid.
Okay, that's it was 50-50 in my head, whether it was Doomsday or Darkseid.
Darkseid.
Okay. Who's this guy?
That
Got a big
is
Atom on his
Captain
chest.
Atom, I think.
Oh, really? Okay.
And so he's like, he goes, let me get this straight. Booster tells him like, you're asking me to not only like let everyone alive in the present think that I'm still the same, but now you want me to, you know, that everyone alive ever will think that, you know, I'm just this giant joke.
Well,
like
basically you're a dumbass double agent.
Exactly.
Kind of
He's
thing,
like, you want me to do that? And he's like, I don't think, he goes, you'll know the truth though, Booster. Isn't that enough? And like, rightfully so, Booster's just kind of like, I don't think it is really like that. He's like, I'm sorry, Rip, but like, I can't.
That's a tough one when
It is.
when the coach asks you to come off the bench kind of thing,
Yeah. But no, it's not to come. It's like, hey, you're going to lead us to victory. And then I'm
By
going to
being the
tell
towel
everybody
boy.
about how incompetent you
That's
are
right, yeah.
and how we win to spite you all the time.
Yeah.
So Booster's like, yeah, thanks, but no thanks, Rip. And so he shows back up.
Well, and his back history doesn't say that he's willing to do stuff like this.
Yeah,
Like he was all about himself.
he's kind of
and
like-
he's trying.
Exactly.
But
like 52
still,
kind of shows
that's a
him
big
a little
ask.
bit. And like he and Ted, like you get to see like a very lighthearted, like like Booster Gold is kind of, you would want to be your best buddy type
Yeah,
thing.
gotcha.
But so that week's up and Booster Gold shows back up at the Hall of
Who the hell
Justice,
is this with the GF on his head?
Geoforce.
Okay. whatever.
Because Booster Gold makes fun of him.
Too
That's why I know
much.
it.
Yeah.
And so like they arrive and Skeets is like, hey, we don't belong here. And Booster's like, Skeets, like ever since we left Rip, you've been trying to tell me like we need to go help with them in time. Like
Yeah.
we don't need to do that. Like I belong here. He's like, I've been through hell and back. Like, don't I deserve something finally?
Right.
He's like, I've done a lot. And Skeets is like, of course you do, sir. And then he goes, and come on, if freaking Geoforce is on the team, I definitely deserve a spot.
That's what I'm saying, right? I
Right?
mean, I don't even know who this dude is, but I don't like him.
And so they walk in and everybody's already there
Look
and they
at
turn around to look at him. He's like, oh no, am I late? And we see like there's like the headlines that
yeah.
Booster's there.
He's done this. He's
and,
done that.
and Superman has the plaque there.
Gives him a black.
And but everybody's smiling. Like he's like,
Yeah.
no, Booster,
Yeah.
you're right on time. Welcome to the Justice League of America. It's the real one. It's the one with
Yeah.
Wonder Woman,
Yeah, the real guy.
And it is. It's the, it shows that they've elected him there. And he goes, this is incredible. And he looks at it and it flashes before him and it changes and it says, death certificate, Hal Jordan, the world's greatest Green Lantern.
Yeah.
And so he's staring at it and he's like, what the hell? And Skeets is like, I see it too. And Superman goes, see what? And he's just staring at it. And you just hear like Booster off screen. And he just is like, no. And he just drops it like the thing. Cause he's like, this was supposed to be his moment. And it's changing everything.
Is this still Hal Jordan?
Yeah. Hal can't
Okay.
see it.
Okay.
Cause he like has it back to him and he like drops it and he picks up the sheet of paper and he just tells them, I'm going to have to pass, guys. And they're like, wait, what?
Wow.
And Superman's like, you can't be serious, Booster. And he goes, I'm sorry, is there an acoustic problem in here? Like, I'm saying no. And he goes, truth is, I just wanted to be able to tell everyone else, Booster Gold turned down the Justice League of America. It's kind of how he does it.
There is some cachet to that.
Yeah. And Batman goes, Michael, what are you doing? And he just kind of looks at him and he tells him, like, I'm just living down to expectations. Just like kind of what all you expect me to do.
Yeah.
And he just wipes, like Bruce stop, like he puts his hand on his shoulder and Booster just knocks it off and he goes, see you, Bruce. And he goes to leave. And so as he's leaving,
Batman says the D word.
no, it's Booster.
Oh,
It's just to the next page.
damn it.
Yeah,
Damn it.
And he's leaving. He's like, oh, this is supposed to be my moment. I can't believe we're doing it. And about that time, like Skeets is like, I know, sir, but we're doing the right thing. By the way, there's a bridge collapsing. We see that there's a kid that, needs rescuing. All right, I'll go. And he goes to save the kid and he sets him off to the side. And it's just another point. And the kid's like, wow, I can't believe you're Booster Gold. You're in the Justice League. And you were in the Justice League. And he's like, yeah, that was a long time ago, kid. And he goes, I don't care, man. I can't wait to tell everybody at school that, Booster Gold saved me. And he's like, don't do that, kid. Like, I'm on a top secret mission. If anybody asks you, tell them Superman saved you. And the kid's kind of confused as Booster flies away.
Yeah.
But sure enough, like the cops show up and they're like, what happened, son? And he looks at him and he just goes, the kid goes, Superman saved me. So we get introduced. He's back to Rip Hunter. The story then goes, I'm going to kind of skim over a little bit more of it. He goes with Rip and Rip tells him like, all right, there's wormholes we need to fix. Obviously we need to hunt down and see what's up here with Green Lantern. And Booster tells him, all right, that's fine. I'll help you fix all these, but you do me one favor then. After I'm done fixing all these holes, we go back and we save Ted Cord. So he's like, we bring my best friend back to life and then I'll help you. So we go through a series of adventures kind of, and again, I'm not going to dive into all
There's
these
the
to
little
let you.
Mr. Mines.
I do. Yeah, but I love that they gave like a sneak peek of the weeks like they did it calendar wise.
Yeah, it's cool.
But I'm just gonna kind
Oh,
of like breeze
that.
through as we essentially we
Wait,
find out
wait. Go back one. Lego My Ego?
that's the
My
name of the
Ego.
chapter. Yeah.
Lego My Ego.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. So and there's a part where he has to
Black
go.
Lightning?
Yes.
Okay.
But it's also like you can see like it's the same characters because I think that's Nightwing at some point in time because that's
Okay.
Deathstroke.
Yeah, I remember Deathstroke. And this
but-
is that dumb robot
Cyborg.
boy.
But essentially, like they have to go back and he has to intercept
Okay,
Sinestro.
I'm not a big Green Lantern fan, but
Guy Gardner.
this is a cool looking image.
That
That's
is a cool
very
looking
very
image.
well done.
Guy Gardner doesn't really have the bowl cut in this.
Well, he does on the cover.
He does on the cover because that's the 80s
Yeah.
one. I'm just kind of like going through and showing as we go through. Essentially, they have to go back in time to Sinestro learns that he's not the greatest Green Lantern.
Okay.
And so he's trying to hunt down and figure out who the greatest warrior is. Because
And
part of
Sinestro's
Sinestro's
the guy
problem,
who always fights the Green Lanterns, right?
he is. He's
Yeah.
a Green Lantern still at this time, but he very much so wants to be. He ends up starting the Sinestro Corps, which is the Yellow Lanterns.
And he's got
he
like
wants
that
to be,
red face.
Yep.
Right.
He
I mean,
wants-
this is not as much as I've seen before, but
But
okay.
he has more.
all right.
He very much wants to be like the greatest warrior of them all. So like,
Okay.
essentially like Booster goes back in time and like he's going to stop. Like he's going to. I'm trying to remember. There's something where he gives. It's going to affect like how coming in contact with the ring or Guy coming in contact with the ring. But Booster goes to like essentially battle Sinestro here and stop him from attacking Guy Gardner. And he convinces Sinestro like, hey, like you're the greatest, in my future where I come from. Cause he's like, all of your tech as they're battling Sinestro's like, you're not from this time. And he's like, no, I'm from the future. And in my future, like we all worship Sinestro. Like we know of how great you are. And he's like, oh yeah. What core is it? And he's like, the Sinestro Corps. He's like, and we all know how great of a warrior you are. And he's like, you're right. He's like, I'm just worrying about this for no reason then. And so like Sinestro, like essentially I'm TLDR in this.
Yeah.
And Sinestro
What year was all this taking place?
This is they go back to, I can't remember what year they go back to for Guy Gardner for this.
Okay.
I want to say it's the 60s. It doesn't have the date. It's the Rose Bowl between Michigan
Well, that's
and
what I was
Washington.
looking at. Yeah, that's 93. That's why I was looking at that.
So maybe it was 93 then. Even though the hotel and everything does not look like 93.
No. Well,
It could be then. But essentially like Booster has a conversation with Guy there and kind of gets him to move forward. He wasn't going to carry out whatever it was that led to him kind of becoming a Lantern either. So like there's a lot of like quantum leap stuff in here.
oh.
I just say it of where it's like Booster has to make sure that like time goes the way it's supposed to.
Yeah.
Right. So it's a lot of him like pushing things to go towards so things work the way they do. So they go back.
He
and
never wakes up with Down syndrome like the guy in Quantum Leap did.
Did that happen?
Yeah. That's an actual thing.
No.
Yeah.
Okay, that's not good. So he gets back after changing everything, thinks like, all right, history's got to be great. I've done, and he pulls out, and now it's turned into a death certificate for Superman.
Oh.
And about that time, he notices that Rip Hunter is outside kind of being thrashed around, and Supernova's there, but it's obviously not Daniel, his son.
Pew, pew.
Oh
man, now we're going back to the West.
We
This
go
is-
back in time.
This is don't tell me it's the guy that made the movie. Shucks. What's his name?
Jonah Hex.
There we go.
So for Jonah Hexes, they like go back to the Wild West. And so like that's the thing.
This is a lot, man.
It is like I'm telling you, like I'm letting you. I'm not telling you everything.
Yeah, I got you.
I'm just gonna just harp on the part like it's time cop thing, and it's so
Jonah
great.
Hex always looks so cool.
It does. He goes back. He has a drinking contest with Jonah Hex to try to blend in.
I love how he's
and-
dressed like Woody.
He kind of is. Just to find out where the Kent's doctor is, because that's the thing. This
Okay.
guy has gone back in time to kill one of the doctors who ends up giving birth to like Superman's grandpa Kent
Oh,
or
wow.
whatever kind
Okay.
of thing, right?
All right. Yeah.
So that's what he has to show up and stop Supernova from causing that to happen, and it scares the Kents to moving to Smallville to get away from the big city or whatever, which is where they'll be then, obviously, when Superman shows up. They end up crashing into the Flashes, a pair of Flashes, Wally West and Barry Allen, and they have to go back to the night where the Central City crime or police department is struck by lightning that gives Barry his powers, and they have to stop that from happening. We find out that Supernova, whoever he is now, is working with a guy named Rex Hunter, whose real name isn't Rex Hunter. Yeah. He's just another time guy like Rip Hunter. Wow. But so we just kind of go through, like, that's the thing, is he like travels through different parts of the DC universe trying to set like different points in time right. It turns out that it's his dad. There's a little spoiler alert, right?
Yeah, there's that cut you were talking about, the scar.
That it leads into a lot more, so that's why I'm just kind of skimming over some of this. But the thing that I want to get into is an issue of what makes Booster Gold really good to me. Okay. Is they're able to help everything from happening, or stop everything from happening. And it's like, all right, everything's fine. And like, we've kind of fixed all these problems. And Booster tells him like, hey, you gave me your word. Like, you promised. Now we're going to do this together. We're do it alone. Like, I've done all these things. Let's bring Ted back. Right? Like, this is what we're going to do. Okay. You're going to help me bring my friend back. Yeah. And he's like, all right, that's fine. But first, I'm going to ask you to do something else before you do that. And Booster's like, what are we doing? Like, well, you said we were going to save Ted. And he's like, no, first.
Well, but he's gone through time and helped with all this stuff and blah, 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 blah.
And he's like, he goes, first, there's one more person that we have to help. An anomaly that Supernova caused, because they send Supernova to a point in time where he's not going to bother anybody. Okay. And they capture the other time bandit. And he tells them there's one more, anomaly we missed. Supernova caused it and we missed it. We need to go back and fix it. The current leader of the Justice League shouldn't be Black Canary. And he's like, what are you talking about? And he's like, the current leader should be Barbara Gordon. And he's like, Oracle? Do you know about Oracle?
I don't know. I'm assuming with Gordon, it's the chief's daughter.
It is. So Barbara Gordon was Batgirl.
Oh,
until The Killing Joke. The Killing Joke, which is Alan Moore.
The Killing Joke, yeah.
Is where
big one
Joker, to get being Joker, he shoots and paralyzes Barbara Gordon, and she's no longer Batgirl, and she's wheelchair bound, and she becomes Oracle. She kind of works.
I swear you were going to say wheelchair girl.
Oh no, she ends up like working from the Batcave as like the computer person that like help out Batman kind of. Again, I'm really simplifying this. She
becomes that girl that stays behind at CSI.
Exactly, but that like
talks to him through the comms.
But looks everything exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
But and so that's what Booster Gold's like, Oracle, and he's like, no, not Oracle. Barbara Gordon was never supposed to be in that wheelchair. They set that in motion. Like they crippled her.
So he wants to go back and fix that.
And and he tells him like, we'll save Ted Kord, but first, Booster, you got to save the woman that he loved.
Oh.
Batgirl. Right. So then we get to this issue here of issue 5 of the series. Great Batgirl art, and it just says years ago, and it's her fighting Scarecrow.
I love Scarecrow.
And it just kind of goes through the story of we see Batgirl being Batgirl, Batman being proud of her, Jim being proud of her, and him just telling her like, all right, so essentially just save, Barbara, and then we'll save Ted. Like, you have it. Like, that's what we're going to do. So Booster shows up and he like goes through, and it plays through a lot of the different parts of Killing Joke, but he's looking to try to find them, and Joker's minions take out Skeets and they gas Booster, and he wakes up. There's another story that goes on with the Blue Beetles.
So much.
There's a lot that goes on. There's a lot. It's all really good, but again,
sure.
I'm not trying to overload.
No, it's great. It's just so much.
So, like he kind of comes through, and like the paralysis wears off, and Joker essentially just starts like, he doesn't know why he's there. He's like, Booster tells like, I'm here to stop you, and he's like, stop me? Tell me, like, how do you plan on doing that? Like, how are you going to stop me? What are you going to do? You don't want to talk. And like Booster has no answer for me. He's like, all right, fine. I've always adore having something on or to rail against anyway, and it's like sends one of those cars out
Yeah.
against them.
He doesn't seem like he would do well against the Joker.
No, he
The
doesn't.
Joker's a big deal.
We do see like there's a part where Rip is kind of torturing the other Time Hunter to get him to be like, who are you
Yeah.
working for? Like, tell
Yeah.
me. And as he's torturing him, bright lightning, he just kind of like fades away. And we get to see like a nursery with Jason above it. And it's these other Time
Fish
Hunters
people.
have gone back and basically killed him as a baby. So
Okay.
therefore he's not there for him to
Okay.
that just explaining those
Yeah.
panels.
Yeah.
So like Booster wakes up again and he's like locked up in a cage and he's like, oh, I don't have time. I got to get here. I got to go save Barbara. Like that's where he's going. And so like he escapes from the circus there that Joker was at and he's rushing to Barbara's apartment, which is where Joker is going to surprise them. And
Yeah.
he's going to kidnap Commissioner Gordon and shoot Barbara Gordon. That's what happens in the story in this scene.
Right.
There's a knock on the door and like Booster's trying to get there as quickly as possible. We see it's a little too late.
Yeah.
And the shot, that's exactly how
Oh,
it looks
Lord.
in Killing Joke 2. Same panel, her fault, like the way it's drawn. Booster's a little too late, and he gets there, and he tries still to attack the Joker, but he ends up getting shot himself. And when he does, zap a light, and he wakes up back where Rip's basement, kind of.
Mm.
And he's like, where am I? And he's like, home base, Booster. Your vitals were off the chart. I pulled you, and Skeet's back. He told me you didn't. And then Booster's like, send me back. And he's like, Michael, you took a hell of a beating. And he's like, send me back. I need to try again. And Rip's like, dude, you lost a lot of blood.
Yeah.
And he's not hearing it. Like he grabs him by his shirt collar and he's like, send me back. And it goes back and it shows Joker like zapping him in the face. And he wakes back up again. He's like, back again.
Yeah.
And this time it's Joker like slamming his head through.
Oh, I
a
like
glass.
that. That's
Yeah.
cool.
And again.
He's
and
just like,
this
back
time,
again, back again,
Yeah,
back
he's
again.
getting shot.
He's just going to do it till he gets it right.
And so it's like again. And like you
Yeah.
can see,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
just
yeah.
pain every time.
That is very Quantum Leapish.
And so like the same thing keeps happening.
Mm-hmm.
And he sits there and he like tells him, he's like, hey, he's like, no, he's like, you've gone too far. He's like, this is enough. Like, you're not going to be able to do it. And he goes, but the abnormal wormhole is still open. Like, we got to do this. Like, we got to get it right. And Rip tells him, he's like, Booster, I'm sorry. I was just trying to teach you a lesson.
Oh.
And he like, Booster's kind of like looking at him confused. And he's like, the Joker's always going to win. And Booster's like, no, like I can stop him. Like, I know, like I just got to get, and he's like, no, we can't change it. Like we never could. He's like, Rex and Supernova had nothing to do with Barbara Gordon. He's like, there was no like abnormal thing around that.
Yeah.
He's like, just like the death of Ted Cord, like that's a solidified moment in time.
I see.
Like he shows him like
He was just showing him
like his
without
thing-
doing Ted
Exactly.
with somebody else. This is how some of
Exactly.
these things just cannot be
cannot be
changed.
done. And
Yeah.
he shows him like the initiation
Yeah.
poster.
Yeah.
It hasn't, like it's where it was.
Yeah.
He was
His-
like, you
his
see, he was like,
certificate.
anything from the present on back cannot be changed. Like it's back to normal. And he's like, why'd you do that? And he's like, Barbara Gordon was always destined to be paralyzed by the Joker. Like,
Yeah.
and turn into Oracle. Like
Well,
the
and he's-
Joker will always do that. No matter how many times we go back, you won't be able to win. Like all
Well,
you're
he's
doing
teaching
at this
the
point.
lesson to him
exactly.
about Ted through
Through Barbara.
Yeah.
To which he's like, I can do
Barbara.
it. And he's like, you'd only die, like, trying to save her. I'm sorry. And Booster just kind of breaks down a bit.
Mm-hmm.
And rightfully so, because like this is
Yeah,
his
he
best
just wants
friend.
to save his friend, and now he understands that he can't.
And that's like
Yeah, I get it.
through all of it. Like,
Yeah.
That's where he's kind of like breaking down. He's like,
Yeah.
that's all I wanted.
Well, that's been his whole drive.
Exactly. To which he goes, that's all I wanted was my
Mhm,
best friend
mhm,
back.
mhm.
To which we get we know. And then on panel, it's the other three Blue Beetles.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
It's Jaime Reyes, who is the Blue Beetle
Yeah.
in the movie.
Yeah.
It's Dan Garrett, who was the first Blue Beetle. It's the future Blue Beetle, who we don't know. And they tell him, despite the so-called rules of time that we kind of put you in place, the very future of space-times need you, and like we need you to join. They are going to go back and save Ted after all,
Mm.
is what it sets up for. And the other Beetles are going to do it.
Meet the Beatles.
Yeah, meet the Beatles. Long story short, they do. They go back. They save Ted from being shot.
Okay.
And they think, oh, it's great. Everything's going to be great. Nobody can know that Ted's alive. I'm going to switch to close out the last ones. And so we get a little bit of Ted, but they find out that it was just that the Blue Beetle from the future really isn't. He's working with the Time Bandits. So they were taking Ted
Those
out.
Little people?
Huh?
Monty Python Little People?
The
Time Bandits?
Time Bandits. I don't know. But they were using Ted kind of in a way to disrupt the time and kind of using his soft spot for Ted because of that. Like he's not going to.
Yeah.
It all leads to a point of where eventually Ted, knowing that he has to put things back the way they were, I'm leading to the last thing that I'll leave.
I got you.
That he has to make things right, that him being alive is causing like a problem. And Ted essentially sacrifices himself in all of this again to like stop things from happening.
These are beautiful panels.
Oh, they're so good. Like Dan Jurgens' art on this is fantastic.
Yeah.
And so essentially Booster has to lose Ted again.
Sure. It's
In all
always
the
going to be
story.
that way. That's
Exactly.
It's always going to be that way.
So this is just a really good point. And it was kind of my favorite part of the first little arc that I read. So like things just don't go good for Booster.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very kind of heartbreaking comic in a way, in a sense of some of it.
Yeah.
Not heartbreaking, but it's just like one of those, like you keep hoping that he catches a break and he doesn't.
Sure.
Which kind of fits in a lot with Peacemaker. Like I was saying, I feel like it kind of, it's similar stories that they want to
Except
tell.
Peacemaker's an idiot, you know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Whereas Booster's he's just a blowhard, right? Like he's just, he's
Well-
overly braggadocious. He's a little bit full of himself, but you know, and he
But
just
he's
wants
trying
money.
to make it right.
He's trying to make it right here.
Yeah.
But the thing is eventually he gets a call from Batman in all of this after he's lost kind of Ted again.
Yeah.
And Batman calls him there. And Booster is not a fan of Batman kind of at all. Just doesn't want to hear it from anybody really with all of this. Like he's just kind of tired of the league as a whole, of them just thinking like, oh, hey, there's Booster Gold. You know, he's just kind of sick and tired of it.
Yeah.
So, so he kind of shows up and he tells them, he's like, I know, like, you think I'm this self-centered moron who, like, sold himself, like, 10 times over. And he's like, I know what you think of me. Like, you don't have to tell me. I know what the rest of the league says.
Right.
And it's a moment where, like...
Batman has to have a soft spot for that.
So...
Batman's always been the outsider.
Always.
To these people.
And so, like, but he's just letting, like, Booster ramble. And he's just letting him tell him, like, he's just like, you know what? Maybe you're right. Like, maybe I will go back and, I'm going to pray to God that they forget every second that I've been stuck here in the 21st century.
Yeah.
Like, you all want me to go back to my time. Like, maybe that's what I should have.
Yeah. Let's take my ball and go home.
And so about that time, Batman sits there and throws just a bunch of pictures. He's like, pick them up. Like the 52 pick up.
Yeah.
And he just throws all these pictures at Booster. And like Booster starts picking them up.
Yeah.
And realizes that it's pictures that the Joker took from back in issue 5.
Oh, wow.
Of like when he was torturing
This is all Killing
Booster.
Joke stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So like Batman finds in Killing Joke, like he's taking pictures of Commissioner Gordon and stuff like that, like while he's torturing him and stuff. Joker's essentially done the same thing to Booster here. And so Batman tells him, like, I don't know what you're doing.
Yeah.
But, like, whatever it is, I respect you.
Right.
Like, that's the thing. He's like,
Yeah.
sorry, I don't know why.
No, you're good, man.
But he's just like, he just sits there and he tells him, like, I don't know, like, whatever it is, like, if you need the world to think that you're a loser and to think that you're crazy, like, do that. Because whatever you're doing, it's working. It's doing something.
Well, and Batman, I don't know the full story here, but he mentioned something about Booster Gold growing up. And I think that's kind of a Batman thing where he's like, everybody, you're kind of the same as me. I just was serious from the get-go, and then Booster was kind of this joke that then grew up, and Batman saw himself in him a little bit.
Yeah,
I mean, is
exactly.
that fair?
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that's there. But I think it's also, it just shows like Batman can recognize his attitude of like,
Yeah.
yeah, we all think that he's just this joke, but like
Oh, that's cool.
he kept going back again. And
I
again
do
and
like
again.
that. Yeah.
So I thought it was a nice little tidbit to add in there that even though like none of them kind of,
Mm-hmm.
those who know.
Yeah. Well, it's not a bad deal to have Batman on your side.
No, even if he won't, even if he won't tell everybody
yeah,
else about
that's
it.
right. That's right. Yeah.
Like it's one of those like, oh yeah, he's cool, but he just like won't say
yeah.
it.
Yeah.
But yeah, like he just it's
this is
kind
a
of
great Batman right here.
it is, but it's just a really cool moment to know that
Yeah.
like,
No, that's awesome.
to see you know, the two of them just kind
Uh-huh.
of have that,
Yeah.
and it's him. Yeah, where did he goes? Because that's like he asks him like what happened, and so
Mhm.
Booster tells him he's like, I tried to save Barbara from getting shot, like I
Yeah,
couldn't
sure.
do that. Like I tried to save Ted too, but instead all I did was just tie like a bigger knot in time.
yeah.
He's like, I couldn't save anyone. I wanted to because I am a joke, is what he
Mhm,
tells him.
mhm,
And that's where Batman tells him, you're not, though.
mhm,
And
mhm.
so it's that
Yeah.
nice little moment.
Yeah. It's
And
cool.
then we also, give you a little bit that's kind of like, I'll tell you the things that
Is
get
this
confusing.
the Rick?
That's
guy?
Rip Hunter.
Okay, Rick.
Rip. And
Sorry.
so, like, he does give him a little bit of a gift.
So he's what's his face from Quantum Leap. He's kind of his.
I can't think of his name.
I
but
can't either. But yeah.
He brings his sister back to life for
Oh
him.
wow.
Right? So she ends up joining the story.
Jeez.
We also find out he's like, all right, we got more work to do. Like, come on. I think his sister is going to help them fix like problems in time.
Yeah, sure.
And as it leaves, like he tells him, like it's a nice kind of rallying moment for
Yeah.
Booster.
Yeah.
After the meeting with Batman, his sister's back. Like Skeets is healthy and good to go.
Skeet,
And like he tells him, he's like, you know, it's just a big moment for Booster, and it seems like he's getting it all together, kind of. And so they go and they fade off, and you see Rip Hunter like have this really like genuine smile there
Mhm.
as he's like, keep it up, Dad. And you find out
Oh,
that
shit.
that Rip Hunter is actually
Oh wow.
Booster Gold's son.
Son.
Rip Hunter is a time master, so
Mhm.
essentially, Booster Gold is the innovator of time travel in the
Yeah.
world of DC.
Yeah.
And so because of the rules of time travel, it also kind of fits into like you don't want people to know your real name, you don't
Yeah.
want all of that. Who would expect Booster Gold, the idiot, to
Mhm.
be essentially the father of time travel in a way?
Yeah.
So it kind of builds up to that too. But there's a lot there in Booster Gold. I just
wow.
scratched the surface. I love the sketches in here.
Yeah.
but
That's cool.
essentially, we are going to cover Ted Kord's Blue Beetle, but Booster Gold and Blue Beetle together are just absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
The series was great. I
I feel
absolutely
like I
loved
need
it,
to.
and
I feel like I
can't
need
wait.
to actually read it now.
You do. I didn't want to. Again, I know that I usually dive into these a little bit more, but this was so good. Like
Yeah.
I don't want to give away all the story because there's the family drama that's in
yeah,
there.
yeah. No, there's a lot here.
And I
mean,
feel
a
like I
lot.
would have like this whole episode would have been like 2 hours if I go into just
Who is this guy?
that's Daniel. That's like his grandfather so many times
But
removed.
what is he called?
Supernova is the
Oh,
costume
okay.
there. It's the suit. Like later,
He
you
looks
might
like
ask,
he looks like he would be like the Christian Wright superhero.
kind of what was the one from
I'm
Kingdom
Jesus
Come we
Man.
had? America Mando.
Yeah, exactly.
But like when they left the first time, like he was punched in the face, and that's
Yeah.
where his dad got the
Oh.
costume back. Yeah, his
Gotcha.
dad's kind of a little bit of a turd.
Huh.
But so there you go.
That was cool, man.
Booster Gold.
Yeah, I love it.
I didn't dive into it a lot, but that is
First
at least-
video episode also.
It was, yeah. So
Yeah.
hey.
Hey. Yeah.
But there we go. So next week, I'm pretty sure I have to look at the schedule. I feel pretty good about it. If not, I guess you'll see when it comes out. But I think we're going to go old school, Mike. It's been a while
Okay.
since we've gone really old, and I'm talking like public domain. I say public domain. I think technically DC owns the character now, but we are going to focus on the early like 50s appearances of the Red Bee.
Oh, I don't know that person.
He uses bees.
Ah, I love it.
There you
Already
go.
love it.
I
Yeah.
knew you would like that. So you have that to look forward to as we
Mighty
go old
Bee
school.
Army.
We might not have cool little visuals to put up here,
That's
but
okay.
I'll still have the stuffed intercut that you can look at as we go through. But yeah, so Red Bee next
I'll
week.
bring us a bunch of bees.
Some other things to look
Set 'em
forward
there.
coming up for the month of May. I know that we have scheduled. We are going to look at issues both 4 and 5 of Beneath the Trees where nobody sees
yeah.
as we get ready for issue 6, which is the finale. I told Mike I still need to read issue 5. I know that it's out already. I just haven't got to it yet. But when I was reading 4, like I just kept turning. I was like, oh, it's so good. If you haven't read it, go ahead and catch up. Love the series. Also, we have something that I'm really excited for. We'll do an issue of the show where we split it in half. But Feral, which is a series that Tony Flex did, and it's the same creative team. I hate that I cannot remember the artist's name right now, and I apologize for that. But it's the same creative team that did Stray Dogs that we love.
Oh, yeah.
They've done one with cats now called
you
Ferals.
told me about that, yeah.
So we're going to have an issue where it's going to be a double feature. We'll cover number 1 of Ferals, and we will also cover there's a new Space Ghost comic. And I thought so much of Mike for Space Ghost.
Oh, my God, I love that.
So we're going to do that too. And then in June, we'll have Supergirl coming up, as well as a very special Batman. I realized I did the math.
Uh-huh.
I'm turning 36.
Okay.
The movie came out on my birthday in the year after I was born.
That's the one we found in my attic.
Yeah, the year after I was born, but it came out on my birthday. So this is the 35th anniversary of the Batman movie with Michael Keaton.
Oh, that's cool.
One of the comics we found in Mike's attic was the comic book adaptation of the movie. So we're going to do a special that week. And since it's my birthday, why not? So we are going to cover the comic book adaptation of the movie, as well as Mike and I are going to watch the movie and talk about that too. So we have that to look forward to in June. Busy time coming up for us.
That's cool.
Here on Bros.
When's your birthday?
It's the 23rd of June.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So happy birthday to me and happy birthday to you. 2 episodes that week.
Yeah, mine's May 4th.
Oh.
So it's coming right up.
Is it Star Wars Day?
Shut up. You know how I feel about that.
I'm doing red beef for your birthday then.
Okay. I'll take that.
Okay.
I don't want any freaking... I love Star Wars, but...
Yeah.
They hijacked my damn birthday.
I get it. I'm sorry.
I don't want it.
All right. Well, as always, thank you guys for taking the time out to listen. Make sure you also check out the other great podcasts on the Rogue Media Network family of stations.
RogueMediaNetwork.com.
And until next time, stay safe, everybody.
Golly God.
Bros and heroes. Gonna tell you about bros and heroes. Gonna tell you about.
This has been a Rogue Media Network production.